So it might seem a little bit strange to be talking about New Year's resolutions when tomorrow is the last day in the month, but it has been a very busy couple of months. First, getting through the holidays and then getting through this wild winter weather. You know, I've had a month now to think about my resolutions, though, and so hopefully they are fine-tuned by this point. Keenan Thomas joining us here on the podcast today. Hopefully that's the same case for you. Welcome back, by the way. You were on the Resolutions podcast last year.
Yeah, in our, at the time, new office.
Oh, yeah.
My new position.
And, you know, some of my resolutions came true last year. One of them was to go to more local shows in 2023. Well, I ended up being a judge for Battle of the Bands, Band Eat Band competition at Scruffy City Hall. So every Thursday I've been doing that. Spend more time on UT campus. Did not do that as much, though I recently had a recent grad take me through. I think we ended up walking like 6 miles around campus.
Oh,
so
I don't doubt it.
So I got the full tour. And one of them that did not come true, I'm going to put on my list today, but I don't want to spoil it. So let's go ahead. Before we get started and introduce ourselves, I'm Ryan Wilusz, downtown reporter at KnoxNews, joined by
Keenan Thomas, the higher education reporter, and some growth and development still.
And, you know, to start things out, I guess, Keenan, I talked a little bit about the ones that came true for me. How did your resolutions play out in 2023?
So most of them actually went pretty well when I was reflecting right before recording this. I had one that was find more lunch spots. I sort of found a few, but I also frequented more of those lunch spots. So I think I went to Potchkey like 3 or 4 times throughout the year. So I consider that a plus. I wanted to go to more shows in general, both like different types of programs that weren't just movies all the time, even though I did see a lot of those too. But I went to a lot of concerts. I attended Big Ears for a little bit. Went to several concerts downtown. It was a great time. I wanted to try to go to more local stores and businesses and kind of did a half and half on that. I'll get into that later too. And then wanted to diversify my nightlife options, which when I was thinking about it later, I really did.
Right. You seem to you pop up everywhere. Every time I'm out, I see you. I mean, usually you're invited, but you know, you're all over the place, man.
No, I just know where they all are. But like a few of those included like Fly By Night, 0 Why Not, the Pirate Tavern, Monkey's Bar, Club XYZ, just pretty much everywhere under the sun.
You mentioned
Knoxville
3 and Happy Holler there. That's kind of become my favorite spot in 2023. Wasn't expecting that, but these are downtown area resolutions. So not downtown specifically, but you know, sort of the center of the city, things you want to accomplish in 2024. So Keenan, why don't you kick us off with your first one for this new year?
So my first one is that I'd like to read more, but I'd also like to read more specifically downtown. One way I want to attempt this is by maybe picking a day each week and picking a location and going over there and just reading it for 30 minutes to an hour. Like maybe I'll do on Wednesday, I'm going to go to Frothy Monkey and hang out in the cafe area and just like read a book for 30 minutes. Or maybe on the next Wednesday, go to Mahalo near Union Avenue Books. Maybe go buy a little book at Union Ave and then pop in over there and start it. So I want to try to attempt that because I think it'll be a good way to experience downtown while also hitting more of my goals that I'd like to hit overall.
While flexing your brain and learning new things. You know, recently you and I went over to Alliance in that side room right there on a Sunday. They had the football game going, and I mentioned the volume is perfect. It's not too crazy. It's not like you're at a bar, right? I think that's like the perfect little reading room over there.
I've read there.
Yeah,
it's a good time.
There you go. You're over here like trying to accomplish real things like reading and educating yourself, and I'm just trying to eat. For me, I eat at a lot of restaurants in downtown Knoxville frequently, and I would like to continue doing that, but I think I want to scale it back a little bit not because I'm not trying to support local and try new things in 2024, but because I am trying to try new things that perhaps I've never gotten around to because they're a little bit on the fancier side or the more expensive side. So, you know, I go a lot to places like Scruffy City Hall, Tommy Trent's, Suttrie's, Clancy's, you know, sort of the bar food. You know, I eat from a lot of food trucks going to breweries around town. But some of the nicer restaurants I have not been to yet, including Lilu, which just opened up recently in the ground level of Hotel Clio. I would love to go over there. So instead of going to, you know, Downtown Grill and Brewery 2 nights during the week, or I wouldn't go there twice, but instead of going to Sutry's and Downtown Grill and Brewery during the week, maybe I save up and just go to Lilu, or just go to, I don't know, to JC Holdway, another place that I've never been, or Lonesome Dove, although Lonesome Dove, I think we reported they had the most expensive menu item in downtown Knoxville, so it's really pricey over there. But there are some things. To save up. Yeah, right. Yeah, and there's some places I want to try. Osteria Stella being another one of them. So, I'm excited about that, and hopefully, maybe this is a learning experience for me too. It'll teach me how to save. So,
I have a similar sentiment. I was able to visit Emilia last December. And really kind of caught that bug of, man, is every place as good as this?
Right.
So I also would like to try to go to more, but maybe not as frequently as you.
Yeah. Well, what about your other ones, Keenan? What you got next?
So my next one here is that I'd like to visit more of the gardens around town, kind of the Knoxville Botanical Garden and the UT Garden specifically. I've been to the UT Garden a couple times several years ago, but it's so beautiful. It's such a great way of getting outdoors and like really experiencing nature without going like too crazy. IAMS is great. Smoky Mountains are wonderful. Like I want to go to those places too a lot more throughout this year. But this is I think that the gardens are a good way of getting out for a brief period and being able to be one with nature for a short time, especially downtown.
Yeah, it kind of goes with one that I almost put on the list for me, which is I just want to enjoy more city parks than I typically do. I have my ones that I go to, like Sutry Landing Park is super close to my house, so I'm there a lot. But I've recently got the pickleball bug, and have tried playing pickleball for the first time, and I'm like hooked now. And so I think in 2024 I want to go to some of the parks just to enjoy the natural beauty and see something that's not as intense as, like you said, IAMS or the Smoky Mountains. Be able just to walk around a little bit and play a little pickleball while I'm there too. But going on to my next one, I'd mentioned that last year I wanted to see more local shows, and I have done that. And it's kind of similar to my restaurant situation, in which, I go to the same venues a lot. I go to the same restaurants a lot. I've been at Scruffy City Hall every Thursday, which, by the way, it's not just a Battle of the Bands competition. It is supporting local charities, which is huge. Scott and Bernadette West recently donated $4,200 to our Empty Stocking Fund charity, which was awesome, and I love it. It's a highlight of my week, going there every Thursday. But my goal in 2024 is to see a show at every place that you can see live. Well, maybe not every place you can see live music. Not every restaurant that has a guy in the corner. You
don't want to go to the Pirate Tavern and see his show there?
No, I do want to go to the Pirate Tavern because they have that cool back room there in the back that they've been doing some local shows. So that would be one of them. I'm talking like I'm not going to consider like seeing a show at Knox Brew Hub, during their podcast, just a person and a guitar. But places that have spaces for music, whether that is Pirate Tavern, Alley Ray's, Barley's, Pilot Light, Scruffy, Prez Pub. I'm talking all the way up to Bijou, Tennessee Theater, Thompson Bowling Arena, the Coliseum. I just want to see one show at every venue, and I probably need to get started because as I'm naming them off here, I realize there's a lot more venues, and this is probably going to go against my concept of saving money that I was talking about earlier. But it's the process that counts. Even if I don't hit them all, I still want to make that a point to try to do. What do you got next?
So my next one is related to one from last year about going to more shows. One of the things I did not get to do was go see a play. Even though I wanted to, it just never really worked out. So one of my goals this year is I'd like to go to a show at the Tennessee Theater, whether that's a Broadway tour or a show that they've got there. I'm going to try to not go to one of their movies over the summer, even though it is really fun watching a movie there. So I'd like to, or maybe even a concert. I'd love to just go to a show there.
You've never been to a show at the Tennessee Theater?
No, I haven't.
Really?
I've been to plays at the Clarence Brown Theater. I finally did go to the Bijou.
Oh yeah.
So we did that one, but I haven't sat down for a show at the Tennessee Theater yet. So I'd like to really do that.
Have you been in the Tennessee Theater before?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I was making sure. Like you've seen how beautiful it is. Right?
I've been in there. I did a story in college on them for a class, and I think the only thing I've actually seen there was a showing of The Birds by Alfred Hitchcock.
Oh yeah, it's Knoxville's grand entertainment palace, and for good reason. It's just a beautiful space.
One of our original movie theaters too.
Yeah, there you go. Well, here's one of mine that was from last year that I did not do as much, really at all. I'll be honest, was to use public transit, which sounds kind of crazy. There is a bus stop right in front of my apartment. I have no excuse, but there's also a car right in front of my apartment, and plenty of parking downtown, which, I know has been a topic of discussion on this podcast before, and people would disagree, but head on over to KnoxNews. Got to plug it. We have a comprehensive list of how you can park downtown, and it's so easy that I feel like I didn't use transit as much as I would have liked to. But with that parking spot being right there, with the possibility of the downtown trolleys going away, they are going away. It's just a matter of when. Go back and listen to that podcast episode, by the way. I just want to use them more. Like on the weekends, if I'm meeting somebody downtown for a drink, there's no need to get in my car. And there's just something, I've always loved public transit. There's something relaxing about it. Sitting down, being around other people, chit-chatting with strangers, or just having your AirPods in and listening and let somebody else do the driving. So I'm really going to give that a try here in 2024, and I'll keep you posted next January to let you know how that came.
I'll hold you to it. I'll make sure to remind you next time we go out. I'll be like, hey, Brian, go take the bus.
Yep, yeah. Leave your car. It'll be here in the morning. Just get on the bus.
So my next one is also, this one's a carryover from last year too, but I'd like to shop a little more at some of the downtown businesses. I was able to visit a lot of local businesses, both downtown and around downtown, like Fable Hollow, which is over near Fountain City. I popped into a few stores, but I'd like to actually purchase a lot more things. For example, like I stopped by Paris Woodhull's store over off Gay Street, but I wasn't able to get anything at the time. So I'd like to maybe go support them. Or like stop at like Rolla or Smoky Mountain Anglers, which is just opened up on Gay Street like earlier, where they're a carryover from Gatlinburg, but maybe go get some fishing lures.
Do you fish?
Not really.
Okay. So that's another New Year's resolution.
Maybe go fish.
Yeah, maybe figure out how to fish. Have you been over to that? I know you talked about Fable Hollow and you've talked about bookstores. Have you been to Addison's on Gay Street yet?
I've popped in. I haven't been able to get anything there because when I walked in, I went, "Oh, this is like a nice bookstore."
Oh yeah,
gotcha.
It's nice in it, but some of it's not expensive. It's just like rare things that
mostly
are quirky things that you don't see.
The downstairs is more used books.
Right.
It's
yeah.
like a lot more used books that are a little more affordable. So I'd like to go in and actually peruse. I just kind of like stumbled in, looked around for a minute, looked at the T-bar. I'd also like to go to the T-bar properly because it looks really nice. It is very beautiful in there. If you actually walk in, it's like you feel like you've walked into like a hidden library. It's really cool. Yeah,
I was really impressed with what they did with that space. For me, here's something that it sounds weird for it to come out of a local's mouth that I want to visit the Sunsphere. It's normally a touristy thing, right? And now it takes $5 to get up there, but I have not been up there and spent $5 to see the new observation deck. And so I think that is something that I would like to do. There's been a lot of talks about the Sunsphere in 2023. We saw that its stalk was painted from green back to its original color of blue. We've heard that there is going to be a new sort of visitor center below the current observation deck. And then after that's done, and that's supposed to be coming in 2024, they're going to start looking at how to permanently illuminate the Sunsphere, which is something that I think has been needed for a long time. So
yeah, you talked about that one a lot.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the future of it, but I got to see it in its current state. I was only up there before the renovations, and I understand they've done a lot more of like a lot better job of sort of the storytelling as you walk around the observation deck and some of the exhibits and some of the memorabilia. And so, yeah, I mean, before they take it to the next level, I would like to see it in its current state. It looks a lot cooler than what I remember when I first visited here, which I think is needed. I mean, unfortunately, the Sunsphere is a little bit underwhelming from a view of Knoxville perspective, but it's such an icon that it's worth checking out. So I will try to do that at some point in 2024, and
I'll be the first to say it.
Yeah,
I like the new paint. I think it looks really good.
Woo! We should have a whole podcast episode about that. That's
we'll go interview random people on the street and be like, "Well, how do you think about the paint job?"
I've heard mostly negative things about it. People don't like it. I get that it's original. I like the green more. It looked a little bit more.
It looked a little more earthy, but I kind of like how it pops now a little bit.
The blue to me kind of reminds me of it makes it look kind of like a Tinker toy almost. Like it kind of makes it look like a little childish. The green seemed a little more serious. I
feel like the green was too dilapidated though too. That's just my own take.
This sounds like a podcast episode. Maybe we'll get some people on here and talk about it in the future. But moving on, Keenan, what do you have next? Or last, right? This is our last one.
So my final one is that I'd like to go to more sporting events, but more specifically, I'd like to go to one of each main type of sport that's here. So I'd like to go to a hockey game. I'd like to go to a basketball game, which is happening right now with the Vols. I'd like to maybe try to attempt a football game. I went to one last year after I didn't think I would, and I did have a good time. So I'd like to try that again. And I'd like to go to a baseball game because I love baseball. Baseball's a lot of fun. And the UT games are pretty cheap most of the time. So you can get in for not a lot and get a lot out of it. Oh, and I like to go to a One Knox game again because I was able to do that last summer, and it was a great time. I really enjoyed it to the point where I was like, oh, I want to go back. So you might see me at one of those games soon.
That was one of the ones that missed the cut for me. I did want to mention that I wanted to go to a One Knox game. I have not been able to make it out to one yet. It was so weird, man. It's like every single time I was like, yeah, let's do this. Something came up. It was bizarre. It's almost like the earth did not want me to go. So hopefully in 2024, I'll be able to tag team along and maybe we can go to one together.
I'm in.
And, next year, if we do this podcast again, when you're talking about baseball, on our downtown wish list, we'll be able to say, go see a baseball game downtown, right? 2025, springtime, opening day, supposed to be happening at the Smoky Stadium, currently under construction. And if you haven't seen it, go over there. I mean, it's starting to really, really look like a baseball stadium. It's really taken form.
I've seen an aerial view of where that development is. You can really see it kind of take shape. It's really interesting. All right, Ryan, round us out. What's your last resolution here?
Yeah, so last year I did my first ever downtown Knoxville staycation. Actually, no, wait. Did I do 2 downtown Knoxville staycations?
I remember one because you stayed at the Tennessean.
No, I stayed at the Hyatt.
Hyatt, yeah.
The Hyatt place. I have also stayed at the Oliver downtown when they were running like a crazy deal. It was like $20 for a room.
Oh,
it was
nice.
Yeah, it was. I can't believe they did it. But I don't think I'm going to catch quite a good deal in 2024. But I would like to do another staycation. I mentioned Lilu earlier on, like trying to save up and, instead of going out to eat so much, going to like one nice restaurant, maybe once a month right above Lilu, Hotel Clio. Would love to maybe do a staycation there. Really cool concept. Haven't seen the rates on that place yet, so that'll be interesting. But, even though I live just right across the river, it's really cool just to be able to, walk out and be right there. I wish I lived downtown. And just to be taken care of for a couple of days and not really have to worry about anything. Not have to worry about parking, getting around, just spend a full weekend downtown and get to see, also just get to see what people who are visiting Knoxville experience Knoxville like. So wherever I end up, I will let you know. I'm going to say not the Oliver Hyatt place. I'd like to maybe try somewhere new.
I was reading about your story on Hotel Clio, and it does kind of actually make me want to stay there because it sounds like a really interesting and unique experience, especially for a boutique hotel downtown. Yeah,
I think it would be ideal if you had like a nice crew together. Like it's like sounds like the perfect spot for like if you have an event going on where you have to get ready, where if you can get 4 rooms booked and share that common space up there and have breakfast and wine just sitting there brought to you every morning, every day, that'd be awesome. So if you're trying to do a staycation too, maybe we just have a newsroom outing in which we all just stayed. We see each other enough. Never mind.
Well, I was gonna say we could knock 2 birds out with one stone. We can do your staycation, Hotel Clio, and then do a night at the Tennessee Theater when there's a nice show there.
And where are we going to eat dinner? Lilu.
There you go. There's 3.
Yep. So that's all the resolutions that we have. I know it's the end of the month, but for any of you who started January 1st, I hope you're sticking with them. And if anybody has any suggestions for maybe it's some downtown New Year's resolutions that you're doing, or maybe this podcast inspired you to add some to your resolution list, please share them with me. You can give me a follow on Instagram at KnoxScruff. You can also send me an email at ryan.wiluz@knoxnews.com. Keenan, what's the best way to keep up with all the work you're doing?
The best way to keep up with me is to keep reading my stories over at KnoxNews.com. You can follow me on X because I'm still on there for right now at Special K2 Real.
And that's the number 2.
Number 2. I'm trying to be active on there somewhat. So
yeah, you can also please keep reading me too on Knox News. Forgot to mention that part. And we mentioned Knox News because Knox News is the one who presents this podcast. We're both reporters here, and we appreciate your support here, tuning in every week. If you would like to take that support a step further, head on over to subscribe.knoxnews.com to see our latest offers. Take advantage of those and be able to get access to all the downtown news, all the Knoxville news, Knox County, East Tennessee, everything from sports to politics to growth and development to education to the dining and nightlife scenes. Anything you would want to know about Knoxville, we have it over at KnoxNews.com. And before we sign off, make sure you check out the podcast description for a link to both the Urban Knoxville Facebook group and the Urban Knoxville newsletter. Both are free resources that keep you even more plugged in and let you join in with the downtown discussion. And while we appreciate the listens and like seeing that listen count keep growing and growing, a review goes a long way. So if you could leave us a 5-star review if you enjoy the show, tell us what you enjoy about the show and maybe what you would like to hear us talk about next. Don't forget to subscribe. That way you make sure you get a notification every time a new episode drops, or just come back here on Tuesdays. I know we did not have an episode last week, but a lot of things were delayed last week. Schools, people couldn't get to work. We couldn't record a podcast. But weather permitting, we will be here for the rest of the year and beyond that. There's a lot to talk about, a lot happening in downtown Knoxville, and this right here at KnoxNews.com are the best sources to keep up with all the goings-on. So thanks again for listening. Keenan, thank you for joining again.
Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure to have you on the show, and it's always a pleasure to bring this podcast to you. So until next week, stay scruffy, Knoxville. We'll talk to you soon.